Did you know you can Divine Smite while raging? Just like this. Well, let me show you how it's done. This is my Paladin Barbarian build, levels 1 to 12, with a combat tutorial and a list of items for you to use. And level 1 we're starting with Paladin. Reason being is we like a few of their proficiencies, with things like shield, heavy armor, medium armor, light armor. For this to work, we want Paladin because we want the medium armor proficiency for this build. And for our subclass, we're going to take the Oath of Ancients. This gives us the Ancient Tenets and a healing radius. Heal yourself and all nearby allies for 3 hit points. Regain another 3 hit points next turn. Now bear in mind, for this build to work properly, we're actually not going to be using spells. The reason that this works is because you can't cast spells within Rage, but Smites are classed as a class feature. They will trigger, which means we're going to save all our spell slots for Smites. Don't have to worry about them, we can Rage, and then we can smack things really hard with some Divine Magic. So when it comes to your ASIs, we're going to have 16 Strength, 14 Dexterity, 16 Constitution, 8 Intelligence or 8 Wisdom, either or, and then 10, in whichever one you chose not to, and 10 Charisma. For your proficiencies, take whatever you like. Okay, Paladin level 2 is what we go with next, and this unlocks all our smites, as you can see on this side under our actions. We have Divine Smite, we have Divine Smite Reaction, and we have Divine Smite Critical Reaction. Now for your fighting style, we're going to take Great Weapon Fighting. Now this gives you a lovely ability that when you want to roll a 1 or 2 on a dice for damage, for an attack with a 2-handed melee weapon, you can re-roll that dice once. Really nice way of maximizing your damage output. And again, for your spells, we don't really care. Maybe take like Shield of Faith early game to help you out with your armor class. But honestly, if you're doing this late game or respecking, or even to be honest, if you are doing it from the start, your spells aren't really going to matter for this build, I promise. Okay, and once we reach level 3, we dip over to our Barbarian. Now at Barbarian level 1, we unlock our Rage. Deal 2 extra damage with melee and improvised weapons and throwing. Gain resistance to physical damage and advantage to strength checks and saves. And as always, it is a bonus action. And we stick with Barbarian for level 4. And Barbarians are super easy to level up. So now we have Danger Sense. So you sense when things aren't as they should be. You have an advantage on Dexterity saving throws against traps, spells and surfaces. To gain this benefit, you can't be blinded or incapacitated. And we have Reckless Attack. Until your next turn, you have advantage on attack rolls, but enemies also have advantage against you. And this is really good for maximizing your smite damage as well, being able to attack with advantage. Okay, so at level 5 overall, we are going to stick with Barbarian to level 3. This gives us access to our specialization, and we're going to come in here for Berserk. Now, you could do Wild Heart if you want to. You could also do Wild Magic. They both really work. I do think Berserker, though, is just a little bit better. It's my personal favourite. This gives you access to Frenzy. So your Rage turns into Frenzy. You gain Frenzy Strike and Enraged Throw. You can make an improvised weapon attack as a bonus action. Gain resistance to physical damage and advantage to strength saving checks. And what's really good about this is the bonus action attack. This sort of negates the need for having a level 5 extra attack with your Paladin. So even though you are going to be lacking behind in like pure class features, the fact that we now have access to this, in my opinion, does make up for that extra attack you would normally achieve by sticking to Paladin level 5 by now. Okay, at level 6 we are sticking back with Paladin. Now we come into here, and again, spells do not matter. I cannot reiterate that enough. You don't need to worry about these. And level 7 overall gives us access to a Lay on Hands charge. You probably won't really be using these in all honesty. The feat, however, we do want, and you probably would have guessed, we're taking Great Weapon Master. When you land a critical hit, or kill a target with a melee weapon attack, you can make another melee weapon attack as a bonus action that turn. Attacks with melee weapons you're proficient with, and are wielding in both hands, can deal an additional 10 damage at the cost of a -5 attack roll penalty. So to break this down into simple terms, when it comes to attacking, you can take a -5 to your attack roll to do a solid 10 damage on top, and this is phenomenal because 10 solid damage is a huge buff. And when you're rolling with advantage by being frenzied, you really pop off this chance of hitting every turn. And again for spells, does not matter. Okay, we are now a level 8 character and we have hit Paladin level 5. And all we really matter from here is the extra attack. You can make an additional free attack after making an unarmed or weapon attack. If you gain the extra attack feature from more than one class, they don't add together. Again, we have access to more spells and none of them matter. And we push our way onto level 9, and this unlocks Aura of Protection. You and any nearby allies gain a 0 bonus to saving throws. This is based on your proficiency. And this is where we bring our Paladin now at level 10 to get Aura of Warding. You and any nearby allies take only half the damage from spells. The aura disappears if you fall unconscious. It's a permanent buff and it's amazing. Half damage from spells is very, very OP, especially late in the game. From here we're going to dip over to Barbarian to grab another feat, and there are two options you can do. You could either take Savage Attacker, or you could bump your strength up with your ASI to 18. I'm going to take the strength to 18, but I would suggest either or depending on what your preference is. And then for our final level, Paladin level 8, another feat available, and again, bump your ASI, you could bump your strength up to 20 now if you so choose, or you could come back down here and you could take Savage Attacker if you want to. In my opinion, now that we have 18 in strength, I would take Savage Attacker. When making melee weapon attacks, you roll your damage dice twice and use the highest result. Nice little way of just buffing up your damage. Okay, when it comes to items, there are actually a number you could use here. You could use the Blackguard's sword, which gives you extra damage on your smites. You could bump up your charisma if you so choose, with things like Birthright and stuff. My personal loadout for this is the following. Now, I know barbarians have unarmoured defense, but we're ignoring that. And like I said, we're going full medium armor. And we're going to take the Armor of Agility, which means we get exotic materials. Now, exotic materials lets us add our dexterity modifier to our armor class. It also does not give us disadvantage on stealth checks, amazing, and a +2 to saving throws, which means this buffs our AC all the way up to 19. I would pair this with the Bone Spike Helmet. This gives you Fury in the Marrow, so when you rage, hostile creatures in a 3-meter radius must succeed a Wisdom saving throw, or they'll take 2 to 8 psychic damage. Targets receive half damage on a save, so either way, you're dealing damage just for raging, which is a key part of this build. We also get a +2 to our Intimidation. Now, Cloak of Displacement. At the beginning of the wearer's turn, the cloak activates, granting enemies disadvantage on attack rolls that target the wearer. And since we're going to be a frontliner taking as much damage as possible, Cloak of Displacement, very, very helpful. When it comes to boots, I like the Blackguard's Greaves. Gives us Strider movement. You gain Long Strider, which is amazing, means we can actually move further per turn, and a +1 to our athletics. For gloves, I love the Legacy of Masters for this build. Arm and Enchantment, get a +2 bonus to attack and damage rolls with weapons, and a strength save +1. So again, we're just buffing up our chance of dealing damage as well as landing the attacks. Now when it comes to rings, the Caustic Band. Your weapon attacks also deal 2 acid damage. Might not sound like a lot, but after 5 hits, that's 10 extra damage. Not bad. And with the fact of how many attacks we can do a turn, that's a lot of extra damage that stacks up per combat. The Killer Sweetheart. So when you kill a creature, your next attack roll will be an automatic critical hit, and this works with your smites. Your smite will be an automatic critical hit too. We have the Moondrop Pendant, so when the wearer deals 50% hit points or less, they don't provoke opportunity attacks. And why I really like this is if you are purely in the front and you have a bunch of ranged people behind you, and you start taking that damage, not only is this build set up to help you continue to buff up your health, but if you do take a big crit or anything like that, you will have the ability to be able to run out and heal up or reassess the situation, something like that. It's just a nice way of getting your tank out of danger. And for a weapon, I love the Sword of Chaos. Now, the reason I love this is the damage is amazing, but more importantly, on a hit, regain 1 to 6 hit points. And with the amount of hits we do, that is a lot of HP, you are regaining every single turn. Now, depending on your party composite, you might want to add a bow in, and if you do, I would suggest a dead shot. This gives you a -1 to your critical chance. Let me rephrase that. It gives you a -1 to the number you need to land a critical chance, which means instead of needing to roll a natural 20, you need a 19 or a 20. Nice little thing like that can just help you buff up your chances of getting a critical. You might want to keep that for your rogue or your ranger, which is totally understandable, which is why I've not included it on the main build here, but that's just something to know. And of course there are other items, like I said. You could go with the gauntlet, the Helldusk gauntlets, the basic ones that give you like a plus damage with fire. You could do the Cloak of Protection, which gives you plus 1 to your AC. Lots of items you could use. Have a little play around, see what you think. But this setup, this is my personal favourite. So that is the build levels 1 to 12. Let's go find some combat and we'll show this off. Okay, as you can see, we are in the combat and we are nice and displaced. So let's start our round. And we're going to run up here. And we'll start dealing with the ones up here. And as I said, first thing we're going to do with our bonus action is Frenzy. So this is our Rage. And as you see, our helmet triggered and we caused 5 psychic damage to the person here. And 3 to this one. And now because of that, we can come in here and we can start smacking. We can do it Reckless. As you can see, we need a 15 to hit. We rolled a 14, so we go Reckless. We get that advantage. And we caused 32 points of damage. And we healed up for 6. And again, we can come in here with a Divine Smite, even though we're raging. And we can blast them for an insane amount of damage. And because we have done that, we still have all our auras left, our Aura of Warding, our Aura of Protection. So let's just trigger the Aura of Warding. And there you go, even though there's no spellcasters in this fight, we now only take half damage from spells. Okay, so because we killed someone last turn, our ring, the Killer Sweetheart, has activated. So if we were to come down here, our next hit is a guaranteed critical hit. Which means if we were to come into here, once my camera stops doing whatever it's doing, there we go. We'll target Skeeve here. Divine Smite. We'll do it at 2nd level to see the maximum damage we can do here. Executioner, which is what the Killer's Sweetheart has triggered. And there you go, we have absolutely melted them. That was about 80 points of damage. And we still have another turn with our attacks. We can come in here, attack this one, and because of Great Weapon Master, we could do a Great Weapon Master bonus attack, or we can do a Frenzied Strike. And even more damage. And this is a build that can stand there, tank, heal itself up, and dish out so much damage every single round. Almost a solo one-man army. Okay, and it's very much a case of now just finishing the fight. We still have a couple of spell slots available for us to do some smites, so we can come back in here and do another Divine Smite level 2. Just like that, we can come back in if we wanted to and do a 1st level. And there you go, we've killed another person in this round, and then there's only one left, so... Now, we're all the way up to the end here, we've got 1 enemy left, and now unfortunately we did use our turns getting here, but we still have our bonus action so we could Frenzy Strike. And again, you can go Reckless if you're going to miss. We still somehow missed. And they get huge damage with the opportunity attack. And we're going to come in here, very simply finish the fight. Just like that, with another huge critical hit. So you'll see, we started the fight as we ended it. Or sorry, we ended the fight as we started it with full health. And we used a bunch of our smites. And obviously you don't have to use as many smites as I did, it was just for show. But it just shows you how very easy and simple this is.
Time to get going.
Just bear in mind, as you saw, we just short rested. Your smites do not return on a short rest. Neither does your rage, so bear that in mind. But this is a build that is versatile enough that you don't need to use all your smites in one go. I would probably try and save them for things like your Killer's Sweetheart, stuff like that, or really big enemies that you want to take down, and then purely focus on just dealing out a huge amount of damage to other people, and absorbing as many hits as you can. So that is my Divine Smite Raging Holy Warrior, levels 1 to 12, with a combat tutorial and items. Let me know what you think of this build below. What other items you would use, what other gear you would use, are there any other levels you would do, what other multi-classes you might dip into. There's another one I'm working on, which will use a 3rd class in this build, so look out for that. If you haven't already, please drop the video a like, it helps me amazingly. If you're new and you're not subscribed, you'd like to, that'd also be amazing, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.